Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Chantele. And we're here to recap episode 2 and 3 of Australian Survivor.
Wrapping up the week, finishing it off. But first, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't watched our premiere recap, it's on Reality Realness. Please go there first. This is, like Chantele said, episodes 2 and 3. Hello, everybody.
Ooh.
Yay. We've got Australians in the house.
Australians, yes.
Yay.
All right,
we got Italy in the house.
Ciao.
Oh, international. I love it.
Well, a Canadian in the house.
Yeah. Hey. These 2 episodes are fun.
The whole season's been fun so far for me, not gonna lie. I was just like, I'm enjoying myself watching them. I just like, the characters are just so big, and it's like just seeing them play around. Like, you know, I know that they're playing a game for a lot of money, and like people do eventually, someone's gonna win, but like they're just being entertaining that I almost am like, is this scripted? It's so good. Like these little wars that are happening, and like the tribal councils have been, in my opinion, really entertaining.
They really have. There was a moment in these 2 episodes when I was like, I barely know the heroes, and I'm okay with it. The villains are so entertaining. They are a show within themselves. And so far, it's not good for the game for any tribe to just like not really have to play. So my eye is on these heroes, but for now, I'm having a blast. Let's dive into it, you guys. Episode 2, we basically start with the return of King George coming in with a straight busted face. Holy moly.
And Simon beforehand, he's just all like, oh, he's going to come in. He's going to make a big deal about it. And like, he's just like, just slowly kind of whimpers in, but he just has this huge mark on his forehead and nose.
And then everyone's a little bit like, oh God. Oh, I mean, it looks really bad. They have a baptism. George is emotional for like 2 seconds.
I think he was faking it the whole time, and he actually got me. Because he was like, you know, he was like, oh, and you know, like having to call my mom to say, and like I was on that ride with him, and he's like, ha ha ha. Like I think that he was seeing if he could bring up that emotion if he wanted to be able to maybe use it as emotional manipulation later. George, use what you got.
I did see Simon snuggling up with Jordy. It was very cute. Yeah, no, George was, you can't trust anything George does. Who knows? But I did find it hilarious that Simon and Jordy eventually were like, okay, he's not paralyzed, guys. Like, he's... What?
The baptism was just so...
It really was. Oh, so entertaining. But we're going to pop over to the Heroes Tribe for just, a second here, where we get to talk to Shonee, pronounced the same way Shonee.
And then, did you also notice in some of the challenges, they call Shonee as well? And just, anyways, just to confuse.
They call Shonee Sean.
Yeah. Shonee, and Shonee. Yeah.
And Shonee is Shonee because Australians pronounce their R's differently. So it's just a lot of Shonee.
Imagine if I was there. And Chantele.
Oh my God, no.
Shonee.
Too much. Too much Shonee. She says LA is fake. And I was like, bitch. Stop it.
I mean, she probably just had to make that soundbite, but I think I can understand what she's saying a little bit. Like, I've had a lot of friends that have lived there, and I've lived on the West Coast myself, and I've just found that there's a little more, we'll say, grit on the East Coast as opposed to when I lived on the West Coast.
Well, there's definitely more grit on the East Coast. They're hard. They live hard. Their weather is hard. We don't live hard because we have palm trees and sunshine all of the time.
People are a little more passive and a little bit more wishy-washy in my experience. So.
But look, here's the thing. It's every town has fake people. Every town has good people. It's who you surround yourself with. So Shonee, get better friends. Okay.
Or like maybe because she's talking about because she works as an actress, as a dancer, maybe it's in that industry as well. Um, Finding people that are really chasing the American dream, and so maybe
Mm-hmm.
those people might not be as genuine as someone that's not living in an entertainment world.
But she's got to get those Australians on her side. You know, she's got to be like, oh, LA, whatever, so that
Well,
they
it's
can be
kind of
like,
like
haha.
how everybody hates Toronto, like everybody, like it's the same. It's the same. Everybody hates everyone for
Um,
some reason.
then we get to know Paige a little bit. So she would like to upgrade the shelter. She is laughing about getting along with everyone. She has a crush on David. Same, y'all. David is the one.
David is your hero crush or all round
David.
crush?
Well, I barely got to know him, but he's very wonderful to look at. He's the one with the hair that I was trying to describe
Oh, I
last.
think he's what on my team. I think so. Yeah.
Yes, you have all of the people actually that I would prefer to have. Besides Haley, you have everybody else.
Oh, your man Simon. You have Simon.
I do have Simon, and I still. We'll talk about Simon. But we get a package about Paige, and honestly, I liked her more in this package than I thought I was going to like her.
Absolutely. I was actually thinking about you when the package came up, being like, what she just wants to come on the show to make friends. And she does kind of say that, you know, she wants to get along with people and make friends. But like, she does have a little bit of a personality. I do think that she'll be taken along for a while, but then an ally will cut her if need be. And I think she would be devastated. I do feel like a Paige devastation is on the horizon, but a little bit down the road. I think she's going to get a good survivor experience up until she gets blindsided and voted out.
Yeah, I think that was the key, is that she's got more personality. She's going to be fun. Great. She can be there for friends. She says Flick and Haley are her type of Sheilas. And I'm like, great. You can be a loyal number to Haley. Haley will cut you way at the end when she needs you no more. And that works just fine for me.
And I can also see Paige getting to like being like a no vote finalist. Like I think that they'll probably still do 2, but if they did 3, I can see her being in that 3rd position.
Right. Sure. A drag along, of course. All right. Now let's get to the real show. Back over to the villains. They're wet. They've got no fire. And Michael's still intense.
I forgot like we had to go back a bit because I'm like
yeah. Remember Michael?
Yeah. He honestly, I mean, I appreciate anybody that wants to come and play hard. Absolutely. Like he's a villain. He's a journalist in real life. Like got to get the story, go after what you want. 100%. But like, what happens to a little bit of finesse? Like, was this a time when he was talking to Simon, or is that later on?
Well, this is just their first, like, they do some real talk, do a little handshake. This is not the crazy conversation. Yeah, that is later. But
I just don't understand though. Like, I get wanting to get George out, right? Like, we know he's a huge threat. We know that he has a big personality. We know that he's very, egotistical and believes that he's the best person on the planet. Like we all know that about George.
Yeah.
But like, the fact that he just wants to get him out without having any like numbers, he's not making allies. Like it all still is a social game. You can't just want to get somebody out without being like, hey, these are the reasons why, like, we should get together, like, make an alliance, make a friendship, make a pact. Like, I don't know. He's just making no bonds and just making enemies, even though he thinks because there's like a mutual enemy that they could all vote for or whatever. Like, he's just no finesse. Where's the finesse?
He's missing a big bulk of the game here. And he is zeroed in on George, which sounds good to Simon at this point. And Simon admits to us that he is fueled by vengeance. He wants to be the King Slayer. But then we hear from George, and George has lost both of his gals and kind of needs to regroup here.
And I feel for George because like he's already in a pretty tough situation, and he immediately was able to get 2 people on his side, and like he was doing so well, and then we had that terrible challenge that like took one of his allies out of the game, and the villains are going to villain, and they took his other ally out of the game, and so he's probably just like coming back and being like, oh gosh, I have to like figure something new out. Like, So I kind of felt for George a little bit. Like, he does have a very difficult path.
He does. I mean, he's got the skills to do it, but he absolutely has a very uphill path here. But thank goodness for Shonee, spelled Shonee, not to be confused with Shonee that's spelled Sharney. Shonee wants to scoop up George. She's like, look, me and my girl Les, we're the same person in different bodies, but we got to work with George here.
Well, and I was like feeling that because I'm like, she needs a shield. And I know you were saying like you got to get these people out, but Shonee knows that people are going to come for her. And she knows that most people will know that she's played twice before and that she's made it pretty deep into the game the other times that she's played. And so yeah, she needs to have George there so that they could be distracted and not see that Shonee is still in the game. So absolutely, I'd want to scoop up George. And she likes George and she gets along with him and she has a good time with him. So
yeah,
keep him.
Yeah, she really, I mean, George, like we just said, has such a difficult path, but he should be so grateful that she's in this game. This is so helpful for him. Then we get a package about Liz. Our Olympian.
She's pretty badass.
She's so badass. I love an intense Olympian. Like, I feel like most Olympians just have like that intensity about them.
Well, that's the same event that Angela was proficient in. I don't know if Angela went to the Olympics, but she was like probably pretty close, like probably at that level to potentially have gone. So yeah. I mean, that is not a sport that I've ever even tried. I remember like we used to do, it was called the Terry Fox Run. And like, we'd have like, they had this different activities that we had to do as well as like a run that we would get people to sponsor us on. And so I remember part of that whole track and field day, it's like we had to do like long jump and like, I don't know, shot put or something, right? 50-meter run, whatever it is. And so I don't think that I ever even tried the pole vault because that just looks silly.
I don't remember trying it. There's no way I would have been able to do it, though. I have the upper body of a jellyfish. There's no way my body is flinging through the air. I don't know how.
I gymnastics, so maybe I would have tried it when I was younger, but like, it seems silly.
It's like, one of those like super old fashioned, like from the original Olympics, right?
Yeah.
Like how is it still a thing?
I don't know. Like you're literally running with a pole in your hand, putting it into the ground and flinging your body over another pole and landing on a mat.
Yeah. It is one of those bizarre ones, but I really did enjoy getting to know Liz a bit more here because that sort of level of competition just makes you a different type of person. It's fun to watch.
She's so petite that you don't really see like how intense she actually is and like how really good. And we'll talk about it shortly, but like I'm pretty impressed by Liz. I didn't think I was going to be as impressed by her. Even seeing her, I don't know if it's because maybe I've seen pictures of her at the Olympics or something, but she looks already like she's a returnee. And I keep on forgetting this is her first time playing the game. She seems to really fit into this game and this landscape. I don't know. She seems like a returnee.
Well, let's move to this reward challenge is next up in the episode. This is the first time the heroes are going to see George. He looks awful, to reiterate. Haley is like,
what?
Like, oh my God.
How did you manage to stay in this game?
Yeah, Jonathan's going to give the whole story here. Everyone's going to understand. And then he gives, I feel like, too much information about the vote.
True. I mean, he does always give a lot of extra information. Loose lips are not something that he tries to avoid. He spills it all. And he's always like, I know you really like George, but like not everybody on the whole season needs to know that you really like George. Like he's like, George, George, you do that. George, like he's just always like, George, you're amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not helping him stay in the game longer by like pointing out that like everybody loves him.
No, but he really was like, the villains didn't have to vote anyone out, but they like he laid it on. And I was like, I feel like that's game info. And the host isn't supposed to reveal game info, but
Also, though, I think that George is quite sly. He said, because Jonathan asked George, like, how do you feel about the way that they voted? And he said something to the effect of, like, Simon's in control of the tribe or whatever, and I agree with all the decisions that my tribe made. And I was like, he's just like suddenly throwing in that he's running things, that he's in control, that so he could eventually gather the troops to slay him, which is, I think, very smart.
Oh, yeah. And George is king of throwing someone's name out in a passive aggressive type dig. Like the quote was, I wrote it down, Simon has unified this tribe. And it's like, oh my God, like dig, Simon, your grave is right here. Now the reward for this is a tribe raid. This to me felt super early.
That's the first thing that I said too. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, one reward. So only one tribe has a significant amount of stuff. The other tribe has basically nothing. How is this? Well, how is this? What?
I totally thought it was silly as well, because I was like, if it was maybe 3, there might be some fishing gear somewhere. There might be some food. There might be, I don't know, blankets and pillows. Like the fact that they just had the one raid from like the pillaging from the beginning. Yeah. I believe it's the only thing that they had, right?
Right. Yes.
So yeah, I agree. Like I was like, I didn't understand why they needed to have that right away. Do you think it's just because they're like worried that George and Haley are going to be gone soon, so they just want to have that drama in there as quickly as possible because they know that at least George would be quite reckless?
I don't know. It really made no sense to me. Like, yeah, sure, George is going to be reckless. Most villains are going to be reckless. The heroes would have nothing if they had won. They're just basically protecting their stuff. They're not going to get anything. I
guess they would take down their shelter.
But then it's like, why kick them when they're down? I don't know. And would the heroes really do that? That's not very hero behavior,
I mean, maybe that would be like the more ethical dilemma that the heroes would have to face.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. Rogue and Shonee are gonna have to sit out. This is a turnstile, if I'm remembering correctly, where one team versus the other team are just trying to get across a line here. So the first one, we've got Sam, Matt, and Ben versus George, Fraser, and Michael. They come up with a pretty good strategy here. The heroes are going to take this one by basically just holding and letting the villains tire out.
I really wanted George and his broad shoulders to like really come out on top here.
The close-ups on Michael's face. Like, oh, it was too much. It was a lot. It was a lot.
It was all a lot, absolutely. But they did pretty well in the beginning, though, the villains, and then like they just couldn't get like 2 more steps together. And all they would have had to done is do like a 1, 2, 3 push, 1, 2, 3 push. I think when they had all that momentum, instead of like letting themselves tire out and then allowing the heroes to get the momentum. But
heroes are going to take this one. Then we've got Shonee and Liz versus Haley and Nina.
What a matchup.
Right? I was like, ooh, I love these 4 ladies. And again, the close-ups of Liz's face this time, though. I was like, what? Where is she? Where'd she go? What's happening? I was not sure.
Well, I was actually thinking during their heat that at one point they were going to lose. So the villains were going to like, because it just seems as though Haley and Nina were getting some momentum on them. Yeah. And then I guess maybe that's when Liz made that face or something and she pulled some, let's get into Olympic athlete zone. And then this like 100-pound woman decides to just Hulk it and push it. Like she just like, rah, and I'm like, you're so tiny. How are you having so much power and strength? And she basically won it for the villains there.
Yeah, she did like and of course this might be editing, but what it looked like was that she did and then just like this, and then just won the whole thing. And I was like, wait, what? Like Haley and Nina go like flinging off. So yeah, the villains get to pull that one out. So now we have Stevie and Mimi versus Sean and Flick. And this strategically was set up for the villains to take this loss, seeing Sean go. Kind of became like, whenever Sean goes, we're just not even going to worry about it.
Exactly. I mean, that's the strategy to have, because if you're going to lose, don't lose your best guy with their best guy. Lose somebody that you don't necessarily think is going to win a heat or be helpful to win a heat. So yeah, put them up against their strongest guy and just kind of neutralize their weapon.
Yes. So that's a 2-1 at this point for heroes. But then we're just going to do a 1-on-1, David versus Simon. Oh.
Are you okay, Sarah? Were you having a lot of some cold sweet tea?
Yes. I was like, did it
fanning
get
yourself
hot?
on the sitting on the porch, fanning yourself, drinking some cold sweet tea as you're watching.
That's what I needed. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, David and Simon. Oh, hello. Hi. Simon's gonna pull it out. Villains are gonna win, and my note was HAWT, all in caps.
Oh, they got a W in there. Okay, hot.
Mm-hmm.
Capital.
Then
points?
No. Just the hot. Liz and Nina are gonna end this, and Liz just shuts it down.
Now I feel bad because I feel like Nina, maybe it was because like she broke her ankle. That's what the injury was, correct?
Oh, I don't remember. Was it an ankle?
I think it was her ankle. She said it's in one of these 2 episodes, but anyway, so I think she broke her ankle, and I'm wondering if this is why she wasn't able to do as well as I was expecting her to do, and how as well as she was probably expecting herself to do. Is just like not having it's just a weakened ankle means that you can't really get that much power in that kind of position. So I'm wondering if it's just this injury didn't allow her to perform a little bit better.
Well, my question overall was, is Nina our strongest female on the Heroes tribe? Because this is what this feels like, right? Everyone is basically gone.
So and probably Haley doesn't want to shine too much.
No, but what about Flick? I thought Flick would be their
strongest. Actually. Yeah.
Isn't she just like solid muscle?
Yeah, she's a lot like denser, like sturdier.
Yeah, she's like sturdy. Maybe her upper, I was wondering if it was an upper body thing. Like, does Nina have more upper body than Flick does? But I just assumed Flick was going to go against Liz, and it turned out to be Nina, and I didn't even think about her ankle. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that she probably is used to being in that strong position, but I think her ankle might have held her back, and she wasn't aware that she wasn't going to be as physically capable.
Right. I hope that she did like physical therapy and stuff and got that.
Probably. Did Flick go at all?
Yeah, Flick went with Sean.
Oh, right.
Which was an easy win, so she'd be less tired.
Well, maybe she just thought that she sucked.
I don't know.
No, I don't know. But they both lost on their rounds. So
Right. All right. Well, this takes us to a fairly epic raid here. I mean, the villains win, which is the interesting version of this because the heroes have everything. The villains have nothing. They get 15 minutes to just do whatever they want at the hero tribe, which is different than US rules. This is US, you get like, you could take 3 things or whatever. You can do so much in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
15 minutes is a lifetime. So we see them just having a heyday. George is dumping out food. He starts to take the machete to the shelter. Mimi is the one who steps up at this point and is like, can we slow our roll, basically?
What did you feel about this?
Okay. Well, at this point, I was like, Mimi, this is a bold move. It's always hard to speak up to an entire tribe. But I thought she had some good points of like, let's just take the food. That is plenty to hurt them and help us. We don't need to go above and beyond, which I think is the way to handle it. And George is straight up like, how dare you?
I was like, uh-oh, new feud alert. Yeah. Well, I feel like it's a reward though. So it's all within the game to be able to do whatever you wanted. But like, I think they left them some bananas and they left like they didn't, I would probably have used it to make them be in the same position as that we were in for the last 3 days, at least, you know? So, I don't know. I don't know if I'd knock down their shelter, but I don't think I'd leave them any food.
Yeah, that's what I think. Like 15 minutes is plenty of time to take all of their food. Take it. I would not have knocked out their fire, and I would not have knocked down their shelter. But
fire, maybe.
I mean, that is just a choice. It's a choice, right?
As a villain?
Yeah, that's right. You are literally labeled villain already.
You kind of have to. As a villain, you kind of have, like, if it was the heroes, I already kind of mentioned that they'd have to be like ethical about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. The villains are gonna villain.
Yeah.
I'd probably get rid of the fire. It's annoying. It's villainous.
Right. I guess you have a bit more permission to do these things when you're a villain. They decide to leave one banana each, which I just thought was hilarious. They pour water on their fire, which I thought was too much. But again, they have the permission to do it. But what was hilarious is the heroes come marching into their tribe and are basically happy that their shelter is still up. And they're like disappointed about the fire, but they're like, we can get that back together.
Nope. Yeah, we still had some embers burning. Yeah. So just like, oh, no big deal. We're good.
Right. And they seemed very understanding about the food. They were like, oh, they've been starving for days. No, we get it. We get it.
Exactly.
Okay. Great. Sure.
I mean, they're just so heroic with their response here, huh?
Right? They really were. And then we get to see that because now we go into the immunity challenge. And they were like, thank you guys so much. Like, there was no how dare yous.
They were just like, it's all within the game, right? Yeah. Like if they had just done, like, they were away from camp and then like the villains went and they stole everything, like, and it wasn't part of the game, like, I think that then they'd be mad. But they're kind of bracing themselves for the worst, knowing that they have free reign to go and do whatever they want to their camp. And so, so as bad as I thought it would have been. So, okay, thank you.
Paige and Jerry are going to sit out of this one. And we get a little soundbite as we're strategizing on how to do this challenge where George says he's going to be on the puzzle. And he tells Stevie, I don't think we'd be on the same page. Somebody says, how about Frasier? And so it is decided George and Frasier will do the puzzle at this point.
And I knew that they were showing this for a reason.
Of course.
Just say that.
But what, at this point, I was like, but wait, why? Why don't you think you can work with Stevie?
Maybe, like, Stevie is another eccentric character. And so maybe George is like, well, I have these kind of ideas. Like,
right.
Exactly. I don't know if I'm going to be able to work with your ideas. Like, we're too similar, I think is why he might have felt as though he couldn't work with them.
Yeah. Well, like you said, we know we're hearing this for a reason. Heroes are going to be in the lead for a little bit here. This is the one where Sean can just roll the ball all by himself up really high. Whereas the villains have to, stack on top of each other.
But it was Liz again that was doing the pushing there. Like, she's on the shoulders of probably Simon. And Liz is like keeping up pretty close to Simon or to Sean. Like, they were like 2 seconds behind them.
Right. I mean, she is definitely a strong person, and they're utilizing her in these challenges. The heroes are going to get on the puzzle first. This is Ben and Nina, but the villains are not far behind. They're on the puzzle pretty close, and this is going to be George and Frasier, like I said. We do see a lot of helping. We see Haley, who we know is great at puzzles, sort of helping from the back. And then, of course, Stevie is also helping on his side. But what
this wasn't a challenging puzzle, so I don't know why they had so much difficulty. I mean, it's challenging in the sense that you have to build upwards, so you have to start from the bottom. Are they not allowed to put pieces on the ground and look at the pieces? Like, it just seemed like people were just like wandering, like I don't like.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle, so start putting light pieces together, like group them, get the edges going. Like, I don't know, do the puzzle.
The design, the line pieces, like put the line, like you can tell when something's an edge, like
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like both tribes are like jumping in, but then there comes a time when the villains look completely confused and lost, like they're not sure what a puzzle is.
And like they've seen Survivor before. It's usually some sort of image, it's either maybe it's a snake
Yeah.
or a dragon or like a flag, I don't know, a totem of some sort. Like it's usually going to be a picture. It's not going to just be, it's never just that I can remember anyways, just be a design. It's
Right.
always something.
Yeah, and Haley is sort of saying that. She's like, there's sun rays. Like she's looking and seeing like, okay, lines, sun coming up. Like it's going to be an image that we've seen on Survivor before. Yeah, exactly. So the heroes are going to pull this out with this puzzle. You wonder if having Stevie on would have helped. Who knows?
I think it would have. I do.
Yeah,
I definitely do, because Stevie was like, no, flip that 90 degrees, like put that there, move that. Like he was being able to, I know he's seeing it from a little bit of a distance, so it might be a little bit easier to see what's going on. But like, I think that he would have had a better handling of the puzzle over Fraser.
Yeah, no, Fraser is definitely the one who did not seem like he maybe does puzzles very often.
He did not seem like he's a puzzle guy. He's not the guy you put on the puzzle.
Right. I think maybe George thought that I'll just tell Fraser what to do. But no, you needed Stevie's mind as well as George. And then you just figure out how to work
how
together.
bad they were at the puzzle, though.
Yeah, it was really bad. Very embarrassing. Okay, well,
Georgie.
Let's go to the villain camp. George has to suck it up at this point. He knows that he has to apologize to the group, make it seem like he is very sorry. And he does.
Taking ownership of it. And I'm really sorry that, I stepped up. But we're a team. We're still a team. He throws that in there that, we're a team. We're all in this together. He's very smart.
And everyone's like, of course. No one person lost this. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But now Michael's going to get to work, right? Well, I don't know, question mark. Michael's work, not sure. But he's going to talk to Simon and he's going to say, we're still on George, right? And Simon's like, yeah, who have you talked to? And then what is this face?
I don't know what was going on there. I was so uncomfortable watching this scene. And Simon's just like,
Simon's like, wait, what is this? What are you saying? Who have you talked to? And Michael is like just making intense faces and not giving answers.
What was that though? What, like, explain to me what's happening there.
Thank you. Please. No, I would like to know as well. No, it made, I was like, wait, what? What?
So was he thinking like, oh, you know what's going on, and like he's supposed to have done everything? Like I actually don't know.
I don't either. At first, yeah, please, chat, tell us what he was doing. At first, I thought, oh my God, is Michael flipping on Simon? Because at first it was like as if, oh, Simon's flipping on me, and now I don't trust Simon. Like he was reading something into it. But then they ended on Simon was just like, we have to talk to other people. And then I thought, oh, so Michael just thinks if he and Simon agree on George, the vote magically happens?
Have you don't have seen Survivor?
This was so bizarre. And of course, it's only going to get more bizarre as this episode goes. But at this point, Simon's like, okay, can you talk to some people? I'm going to go talk to these people. Can you talk to these people? And like has to sort of just treat him like a child, and they move on.
It's fun. Like, I don't know if he just doesn't have can't pick up any social cues, but like when people like, be like, oh, we're doing this. And then just like, yeah. And then they just walk away. That means that maybe they'll do it, but like, they're not working with you, like he not recognizing that people are not really vibing with them is very, very strange. He's an adult.
I think the editors and the producers had a lot of fun though. Like they gave us a lot of just weird Michael faces. It was lovely.
Okay, we're guys, right? Yeah.
God, I don't know what happened. I'm cursed. George and Simon are gonna chat. George is like, hey, we're all shields for each other. And Simon's like, yeah, why are you always around me? Cool.
I have to say, because he does it right after this. Well, he does it all the time, but George is the king of stepping into a conversation when people are talking about him
100.
and just just taking feeling that awkwardness. It's like it fuels him. Because like most people be like, oh, okay, I'm out of here. Okay, never mind. Do whatever you're doing. But he just will stand there in the awkward and like everybody's just like kicking rocks literally, and like he'll just stand there. It's so impressive because most people would not be able to take the awkwardness.
It's like he knows I'm messing up their conversation, I'm making them uncomfortable, I stand in that power. Like he thrives off of it. I think you're right, because he does it. He knows how to walk up on all the conversations and just stay there.
Does not get like any sort of desire to leave it. He just like, let's stay in this awkwardness. Let's see who breaks first.
Shonee spelled Shonee. She is not going to let George go yet. And this is what everyone needs to pay attention to, because I don't care who thinks they're running. She is running this. It comes down to what she wants, and she's not ready to let George go yet. And so in my mind, I'm like, he ain't going anywhere because Shonee has spoken.
Well, absolutely. And well, also in my mind, I knew that he wasn't going anywhere because someone in the chat the other day was like, oh, something comes to a head with Simon and George in episode 3. So I was like, okay, well, no matter what happens, like there's zero tension here for me. I'm like, I know that he's going to come out on top. Like obviously when Shonee swoops in, I was like, okay, well, I know she's taking care of business, but for the whole episode, I knew that it wasn't going to be George at all.
That's a bummer. Yeah.
I know. But yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, one thing that you didn't write down though, is I wonder if you noticed it though. It was a little bit ahead when Shonee was talking about Liz, and she says, "I loved her from I saw that resting bitch face." I was like, I love you both so much.
Yeah, and then they like go to Liz's face, and it's like, yeah, she is this poster child for resting bitch face. Like, she is just, and yeah, the way Shonee said that was like,
so good. But then also now she has her, and like they're the Taurus, Taurus twins, the terrible Taurus twins, and she's just going to run the game, like both of them together. Like Shawnee's going to be the leader, Liz is going to be her loyal follower. I don't see Liz ever taking the game into her own hands and voting out Shonee. I don't see that ever. And so I like having these two dominating and saving George, my guy.
Yeah, so Shonee here is going to basically make sure that she has George. She talks to him and she says, now, did I hear this right, guys? She says to George, I lost 2 girls. I don't want to lose a gay.
Yes, she did say that.
Is George gay?
I maybe thought about it in the past, but like, I don't think he's ever been open about it. But I also was thinking that I more see him as a gay man than, I mean, I could be whatever.
This is just brand new information for me.
I have thought about it before.
I guess I haven't, and I was like, did she just say he's gay and he's not gay? Like, I was worried she had misspoke, but then I was like, she knows more than I do. And he like laughs along and he's like, yeah, absolutely. This is when they create like the Spice Girls alliance.
I love the Spice Girls.
He's going to be Scary Spice. They all get a name. And I was like, oh, wow, this is hilarious. Okay, great.
Well, and also I think it's the ruled by Venus energy, because George is a Libra and the 2 Tauruses are ruled by, Taurus is ruled by Venus as well. And I think that so there's the Spice Girl and like, yeah, I think it's the Venus Alliance. Actually, they just don't know.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one surprised, and not that, whatever. I just was caught off guard. Okay, great. Yeah, his face is scary. Okay, so we got our Spice Girls, and so Shonee can just keep this going. She gets to Mimi. She pitches Michael at this point. We see a great group chat because Simon's like, wait, what? You changed what? And then George is gonna walk up. We get all that good stuff.
I just love him. I'm always just like, when's George gonna walk up to make this incredibly awkward, and nobody wants to leave the conversation to make it seem like they were talking about him, but like it's so obvious.
Yeah.
Now I know that I feel as though George is the person that they should be taking out because he is super dangerous. But do you think, as a returnee, that really Simon should be going so hard for George right now? Like, do you think that that is best for his game?
It's tough. I don't think it's cut and dry like that. I definitely see Shawnee's point, and I think it is best for her game to have George in, because I think it does go George, Shawnee. Then it's like Simon and Jordy, right? So I feel like Simon has a good point as well of like, George is not the type of person you just keep in as a shield. He's the type of person that causes chaos, manipulates people, gets his way, finds idols. This guy is a next level type player. You can't allow him to stay in the game too long. And I agree with that. So yeah, I think should Simon be blinded by vengeance? I don't think so. But I don't think that George is the type of person you leave in for very long. So I'm of both ish.
Is it because you have a crush on Simon that you're? I'm
No,
just kidding.
look,
I totally agree with you. I'm just teasing.
as we go into episode 3 here, you're going to hear me say a lot more things that are not as kind to Simon. Like,
Okay.
he's pretty, but is he masterminding this game? No, he is not. So I can see it all. I can see it. I mean, and plus, we don't really want to lose George as viewers.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yet. I mean, I don't want to lose Simon yet as a viewer. I want to see
Right.
at least, like, maybe something's gonna happen, and then something else. Maybe something. You know what I mean? Like, I need to. I like seeing that, at least them both kind of get. It's kind of like a cartoon, like just like getting out of danger. It's enjoyable. So
Yeah.
I don't want to lose either of them too soon.
Well, let's head to this tribal because it is interesting. I don't remember exactly how it started, but I do remember Michael saying next to Jonathan, and Jonathan's face was like, no, sir, I am the host.
Yeah, he's definitely does not like Michael, and I wonder if it's because like Michael does not like George and is just coming for George, and Jonathan seems to love George. Maybe that's what it is. Like, are you like being mean to my baby? Like, excuse me?
Well, yeah, and now you're trying to tell me how to do my job? No, that's not going to work.
It's kind of like he thinks he's a returning player without having any of the tribals to like back that up, or days on the island.
Yeah, no, Michael definitely thinks that he is an elite player running the game at this point. But this tribal is going to unravel for Michael very quickly. He blames the loss on the puzzle on George specifically. And this makes Mimi speak up to disagree, that it was more of a team loss. And that opens us up to basically a whole argument of
everybody
blame.
Like Sarah even said something being like, no, it was a team, like, no, you didn't say that. Like, everybody was really siding with George, and George even was like saying to them after, thank you. And I was like, how did he get them all on? Because like, I understand where Michael's coming from here, where he's like, you're on the puzzle, you wanted to be on the puzzle and you didn't pull through. At that point, if it had been somebody else, maybe there would have been a different outcome. But like, they would not let Michael have that.
No. Yeah, the point Michael is making is fairly accurate. Like, we were tied up until the puzzle. Basically, the puzzle's where we lost it. But Michael hasn't built the agency yet. Like, Michael hasn't built that position to speak so candidly at Tribal. And this opens the door for George to basically take over the Tribal. Hello, he does have experience at Tribal and a final Tribal. Like, this man knows how to talk, and he just starts pushing Michael's buttons, and it seemed like Michael short-circuited.
What did he say? Why are you so mad though?
Why are you so mad? But like, why are you so mad? And Mike is like, I'm not mad.
I'm not mad.
I'm not mad.
I'm mad. Oh my God. And in the beginning, though, when he sat down and Jonathan asked how he was feeling, George bring on the sob story about like, thinking that he was going to break his neck and like whatever he had said. And like Jordy and Simon were just kind of laughing at the fact that he's so dramatic. I think Jordy gets a bit of a kick out of George, and I think he's liking the antics more than Simon, like wanting to fuel whatever Simon's revenge with him. I think he actually enjoys George to a certain extent.
Well, I think Jordy is also a showman. Like Jordy knows how to put on a show and manipulate a tribal as well, and so he recognizes that in George. Like every time George says something, Jordy's like, "Oh, I know this game. Okay, yeah, I see.
Yeah, game recognizing game.
Exactly. Yeah." All right. Well, at one point, even though we see Michael crumbling, Simon was like staring at Michael. And I was like, oh, I just feel like Simon is watching his game go down the drain. Like, why can't you shut up is what he was mentally like trying to tell Michael. But Michael just kept digging that grave. And so not surprised at all here that we get the bulk of the votes for Michael. Michael voted for George. George voted for Stevie because there is some grudge that we don't know about, that he's got something against Stevie.
Or maybe he's just trying to like put another name out there to like potentially like a rogue vote, you know what I mean? To cause some dissension, potentially, maybe.
Yeah, but we've already heard him be against Stevie. I do think there's a reason it's Stevie.
Yeah, we're not seeing it. What about the line, though? Stevie did have, I think, one of the lines of the tribal when Jonathan was asking Michael, like, who does he trust most in the tribe, or at least, and he says George, and that's kind of where George and him go back and forth a bit. And then Jonathan asked Stevie, like, about loyalty. And Stevie says, if you want loyalty, go get yourself a dog.
Get a dog.
Dog.
Yes. Yes. Bad. I was like, that is a good line. That's right. There's no loyalty in this game. All right. Well, we've lost Michael, and I can't say I feel too bad about that, even though he was on my tribe or my drafting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, as I said in the beginning, I appreciate anybody wanting to come in and play hard, but like, if you're going to come in and play hard, at least play a little bit well, like not just deciding on a target and then like even when they started doing the whispering in tribe and they went kind of down, like from mouth, like person to person down away from him, basically switching the vote onto him. He's like, oh yeah, it's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's okay. And I'm like, how is that okay? Like, what's going on here? Don't you realize that they're choosing to vote you out right now? Like,
yeah, he's a real enigma, that one. He did not make a lot of sense in a lot of things he did. And then of course he's the type of player at the, his confessional at the end. He's like, they just don't know how to play hard. Like and I'm like, oh my God, you played hard. It got you out. They're still in the game. And some of them have played already. Like, how are you trying to school them on how to play and when to play that way? Like, it just doesn't compute.
And what hard is the type of hard that they're supposed to be playing? They're all playing hard because they got you out of there. Like, I know that maybe he thinks that he's not a threat, but like, he's just, he doesn't get the game, I think.
Yeah. Michael, you had to go. Sorry, buddy. You did that to yourself. So that takes us to episode 3.
Do you think Michael will get a call back though?
No, Jonathan was like, we will never see Michael again. Thank you.
George said, I think when he was voting, something to the effect of like, no one's going to remember who you are and I'm King George.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
I was like, well, we might remember his name as the Loco one who like unraveled, but that's not good to be remembered by.
Mm-mm.
Episode 3, we start with a Sarah package. Okay, she likes to play rough. Okay.
I mean, it's nice to know that she's not just a beauty queen, that she's also physical as well. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised. Like, it doesn't, when I look at the villains tribe, it doesn't seem like they would be the losing tribe physically. And so it surprised me. But I guess it's just like them being cohesive as like communicative. But like, she's pretty strong too. And she looks like she's super tall. So I'm surprised that they haven't been doing better in these challenges.
Those are model muscles. Those are not real muscles.
I thought she plays rugby.
Yeah, but like in high school, I don't think she plays anymore. I think she, I don't know. It seems like she's competitive, but not like strong. I might be misinterpreting that, but they're not going to win here.
I don't know if it were me that had the rumor going around about me that, you know, I pushed somebody over and they ended up in a wheelchair. If I would be like, if I did that, she wouldn't get up. I don't think I would actually feed that one. Like, I don't know. How do you feel about her?
Oh, I love that. I mean, I think she feels like, okay, I'm going to be on the villain tribe. I have to like
say the sound
because she's only on the villain tribe because of hearsay of something she didn't even do.
Right.
So she has to sort of give herself cred. So I think she just feels like she has to. And I don't mind because the girl just sprained an ankle. She wasn't like in a wheelchair for the rest of her life.
Oh, I thought it was in the wheelchair for the rest of her life or something. And I was like, that's harsh.
No, like, she makes that joke. She was like, no, she was in a wheelchair. Okay. She was like, just kidding. She's like, she just sprained her ankle.
Okay.
I think it's funny.
It's funnier. No, well, I'm thinking that she's in a wheelchair for like significant time in her life. Okay, fine.
Whatever. Yeah, she's barely a villain, I think is what we're learning from Sarah. Okay, Simon, he's like, hey, you know, maybe I won't gun for George per se, just gonna wait for the right time. And I was like, okay, Simon, there we go. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like having your sights on George is important, and figuring out what he's going to do before he like really understand, like working with him and then having him close to, like whatever it is. But like, I'm happy that he's at least just taking a little bit of a step back here and is like not going to just be like one track mind. So I think it's better for his game just to loosen up on that focus.
Yeah. It's like the Stevie and Shonee thing. Like we want Stevie to have the revenge against her, but not yet. Like don't be blinded by it. Don't like have that be the only thing.
Don't be Michael about it.
Don't be Michael about it. Don't pull a Michael. We get a fun little bit about Stevie. He's the fire master, helps around camp, teaches Tai Chi with them. He's a kooky, quirky guy. I really am enjoying Stevie.
I like Stevie too. I would probably like, I would be very amused by Stevie. And so, yeah, I like him as well.
Mm-hmm.
I like quite a bit of the villains, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly.
Well, I guess I've only really seen them.
Yeah, well, thank you. Exactly. We only know the villains. Let's go to the reward challenge. Haley is visibly shook that George is still in the game.
Shook.
I was like, play it cool, Haley. Like, what are you doing? She's like, what? Like, calm down. The reward here is a giant jar of cookies.
This is probably my least desired reward possible. I would not be hurting my body or like potentially getting a concussion or whatever, like for a jar of cookies. Did they even say what kind of cookies they are? Are they ginger? What kind of cookies were those?
They were chocolatey. That's all we heard.
I mean, I don't even like chocolate really. So
look, I get that at this point you need a little bit of sugar, but a jar, I was like, no sustenance. That's it. Just sugar, just a pile of sugar. Great. It's the largest jar we've ever put a reward in. But why is it just cookies?
Why are they so excited about it?
Because they're starving.
I guess. But like, if I was starving and I got these cookies, I'd be like, oh, hey.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna exert a lot of energy for this, guys. Like,
like if we lose, it's cool. Yeah. But I think that they're all also thinking that there's potentially some sort of clue or an idol or some sort of advantage in the cookie jar. So I think that maybe that's where the excitement is that it's a possibility of getting an advantage.
Exactly. You give them a large jar of something, something's hidden in there. Yes, absolutely. That makes sense. So that's really the reward here is like, who can find this? Ben, Haley, and Nina have to sit out because the villains have so few people on their tribe.
Poor Vils, come on. I don't remember what this challenge
We're
was.
going
Though.
out into the ocean,
yeah, I do.
one-on-one to get like a big bean bag type thing. Got to get it into your thing. It's not too bad. Doesn't get too dangerous.
I thought it was gonna be worse. I thought they were gonna be like on like a perch and like hitting each other off. Like I thought it was gonna be one of those, which is fine. But I'm not really into physical contact in that sort of way. I don't really like boxing or MMA fighting. Like I just don't like seeing people that look like they're getting hurt on purpose. So yeah, I'm happy that it was a little bit different than I thought it was going to be, and it wasn't going to be as physically dangerous and uncomfortable. So
yeah, anytime it's one-on-one physically touching each other, it makes me so nervous that I usually can't enjoy watching it. And also, if you're in water, now I've got an extra layer of worrying someone's going to drown.
Yeah, I mean, all these people are from Australia, so I feel like they're a little bit more like water savvy than I am per se. But like, I still would not like. I just would not want to be fighting in water where somebody could just like pull on something. I'm like, I just terrible.
Yeah,
I don't think I could go on Australian Survivor.
Well, real quickly here, we get Shonee, Flick, then Sean, Stevie. They're going to do the same strategy. Let Sean win easily. Matt, Jordy, Sam, Simon, Paige, Mimi. The villains are going to pull this out and win themselves a giant jar of cookies.
George was really, really cheering hard for Mimi, and when Mimi won, it's like I think you say like, "You did that, well done, Mimi, well done, Mimi, well done, Mimi." Like you said it like 100 times.
Yeah.
And so I guess like maybe they mended fences at this point because he was a little bit irritated by her at the raid,
right?
And so we didn't see it, but maybe they made up.
Well, she did stand up for him in the tribal the night before. But I think that overall, they were just so excited to win the jar of cookies. And she's the last one to win for them. So it's like, they did it. The villains are going to take their big jar of cookies back to their camp. But first, we're going to go to the heroes' camp just real quick. Just real quick so that Rogue can school everybody on strategy.
Right. One of your gems, right?
Okay, she is not.
Was you picked her before
technically
second?
She's technically on my draft team, but I do not claim her. Do not claim her at all. She would like to tell these people, like Haley, about strategy. And I was like, girl.
What's with the newbies on this season, like not knowing how to play the game actually, but thinking that they do? It's fascinating.
I mean, it's amazing that casting found them and threw them in here because, wow. Nat, Sean, David, Sam. The meat tray convention, guys.
Who called him that? Was it Stevie?
It was Ben. Benjamin,
yeah.
He got a whole analogy segment, which I loved. This is our new, was it Owen who was giving this to us last season? Yeah. This was great. He gave us different types of meat for each one of them. He emphasized how beautiful David was, and I agree, Ben. This meat tray is beautiful to look at, basically is what Ben was saying. But the upside here is that they're clearly against Rogue. They're like...
I mean, it's shocking that she's on the heroes tribe and can be so disliked, which is interesting. But I can't find it. I meant to find it before we came live, but somebody made like his whole meat tray analogy and like had like little like pieces of meat on them with their heads. Anyways, I'm gonna see if I can find it while we're doing this.
I love it. Yeah. Very cute. But then let's go to the villains here. It starts out very cute because they're just like starting to have a cookie. Then they're like, hey, let's take them to the beach. And they're just like enjoying their cookies on the beach. The highlight here, though, is George is going to take this time to go search for an idol.
He's so risky, and he just always takes the risks. Like, he's just like, I'm out of here while they're enjoying the cookies and distracted. I'm running around. He's like, I already searched a few of these trees, and there's one tree that I haven't searched yet. I'd be so nervous to leave a group as George and go and search for an idol. Like, terrified.
Yeah, but what do we know about George? He can find idols. Yeah. And I know this. They should all know this. I would never let George alone. And maybe they knew that on day one and have already just gotten lax. But I really feel like this is on everybody else for giving him the leeway. They got so distracted by this dumb jar of cookies. George is the wisest one to say, eating cookies on the beach is not important, guys. Finding the idol is. And of course he finds it because he's so good at this.
He's so good at this. And I was so excited for George. I'm like, I just love that he has a safety net. And I remember this whole season, I was always like, oh, is he going to play this incorrectly? Or is he going to get too cocky? Like, I'm always was worried about him misplaying all of his trinkets. And I don't think he ever did. And so I have to just have faith in George that, like, yes, he'll have this power, but he will still play smart.
He didn't even bring back a coconut. He was like, I'm going to get a coconut. And then he just doesn't even show up with a coconut. And there's a bulge in his pocket. Yeah. Like, it was so obvious. Bulge. I couldn't believe that no one like brought it up later. But what's going to get really exciting here is that Mimi is going to dig through this cookie jar in the middle of the night.
I know. Could you tell who it was that saw her?
Liz.
Like, I mean, and in the end, I knew it was Liz. But like when the person was sitting up, I was like, "This is a horror movie." Like it was just like
it's like, because Liz has that great face.
It was so. I was like, "Who is that?" Oh my god, so scary! And then Mimi's just like, and you just see like this beside her, these eyes, beady eyes. That was a great, really great moment.
It was. Mimi was doing her best. And look, hey, do what you got to do. But you straight got caught. Liz just sat there watching her. And then Mimi like goes back to bed and still doesn't know that Liz was watching her.
Mm-hmm. Not at all. Like, just because you can't see what's behind you doesn't mean someone isn't there watching you.
All right, let's play immunity real quick here. Jerry, Shonee, and Rogue are going to sit out, but Rogue did not want to sit out. They have to make her sit out.
Let's make her sit out. Let's vote her out. Let's get her out. I mean, I also wouldn't mind seeing how insufferable she's been because we haven't seen that tribe. So they must be at their wits' end with her. So I hope they show us more next week about like the saga of Rogue. But, you know, she wants to play. She wants to be in the game. Like, yeah, I get it. Not wanting to sit out.
Well, sure. I understand not wanting to sit out. Sure. There's just so many issues prior to that, you know. Okay, so we're doing a bunch of different things and we're carrying a ladder this whole time. And then we got to make the ladder monkey bars. And that's when it seems to be a problem. People are struggling to get across the monkey bars. And then they're given the option. So the heroes do this first where they turn the monkey bars now into a bridge for just like the last 2 or 3 people to cross. So they're going to take a lead here at this point where the villains take a bit longer before they turn it into a bridge. So they fall behind at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why the villains aren't able to get it together, but like they lost terribly in the end.
I feel like it became clear to me in this challenge because this challenge is when I first saw the meat tray group basically carrying that ladder, right? They have 4 strong men who could just fling that ladder around, whereas the villains are kind of leaning on Simon and Jordy as their two strong men, and then Liz and I believe it was Sarah being the two strong females. But like that's just a striking difference.
Yeah, you're right.
And they were. It was. I was just like, oh wow, to see that the heroes have those four strong men really is quite the advantage.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't specifically see that, but like now that you're reminding me of it, like that makes total sense. They just have two youngish guys that are able to really carry some heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Two extra.
I mean, George said he has new broad shoulders, but I didn't see him put them into use for the latter. Maybe they're not giving him a chance. I'm not sure.
I wonder, but it could be about height though, because it does seem like Sarah's quite tall. I don't know how tall Liz is, but
right.
We know Liz is strong, but I don't know if George is tall.
Right. Well, the heroes are going to get to this last part of breaking the tiles, and they are going to break all of their tiles before the villains can even get up to start throwing. So big win for the heroes. And then we get a cutaway to this good game, hugs.
That was initiated by your girl, Paige.
Oh, I'm sure it was. And they might do this every single time. I think the reason we got this glimpse is because George tells Haley where to find an idol.
Obsessed. Aren't you obsessed with that? I'm obsessed with that. Yes, George. Save your girl, because if there's anything that she could do to save you, she will, because she needs you in this game as well as Shonee. So like I almost got goosebumps. Like when I saw that happen, I'm like, yes, tell Haley that. And she even asked, like, have you used it yet?
Yeah.
He's like, no.
Right. The way that the two of them like are connected is just, it's a whole other thing. The fact that she's like expecting him to be out of the game, like she's thinking about him on her tribe, and then he like gives her that info and she's got questions back, and it's like, when the two of them get together. And this is the problem. If y'all don't listen to Simon and you let George hook up with Haley, y'all all gonna regret it. But I'm not going to regret it.
Nina might not let that happen though, right? Like it's Nina. If that they end up getting to a merge of some sort, and Nina's there, she is not going to allow the allure of George and Haley to get too far. I think that she'll be able to.
I don't know.
Slay.
Are Nina and Haley working together right now? We don't know.
We don't know. We know nothing.
Hope so, but we don't know.
I mean, they have to be working together, because like who else is she working with? She's not working with Rogue. I mean, she might like Paige, but I don't think that Paige is strategically sound. Right. I don't know anything about Shonee.
I'm sure they're keeping Flick. I mean, I think Flick is in that group.
Yeah, I think all the returnees are going to be sticking together on the female side of things for sure.
Right. Okay. Well, I loved that. I agree. And then we find out that this is the first time in Australian Survivor history that a tribe has lost the first 3 immunities. So congratulations, villains.
Congratulations, villains. I mean, they're trimming the fat. I mean, I'm not missing anybody that's, well, maybe Jackie, I wouldn't have minded seeing how she did in the game, but like, I'm fine with everybody that's gone home. It's
agreed. It's just
it's terrible.
I mean, it's hard to lose your numbers on your tribe, but it's also hard for the tribe that does not go to tribal. Like they really do lose out on not playing the game, sitting over there pretending.
Don't know who you trust, like who's the person of their word, like how things are going to shake out, like how hard are you going to have to play. You don't really learn anything. It's just kumbaya camp.
We've seen this happen a few times where one tribe is just doing so well and then it backfires on them later because they just didn't get to figure things out. Okay, let's go to the villains tribe here first because they got to vote somebody out. They got to figure this out. Stevie is going to first pitch Mimi to Simon and Jordy. And Simon and Jordy are like, I love it. Great.
But he really wants a big boy. I love like the terminology though, that they like it's a big boy. Like Jonathan always calls them big boys. It's the battle of the big boys. Stevie wants a big boy.
Okay. Okay.
I'm
Then we kind of
sad.
see a group come together to discuss this sort of Mimi versus Stevie idea. Um, because obviously Shonee, who makes the decisions on this tribe, is is leaning more towards Stevie.
Right, because she wants to keep more. Three women have gone out of the two women have gone out of the game from her tribe, and so I think she does feel like she could work a little bit better with Mimi at this point. And we know that she has that slight rivalry thing happening with Stevie. So if it's between the two of them, she for sure wants to keep Mimi.
Yeah, I think she uh, is smart enough to know who she can manipulate and who she can't. And even though Mimi has proven to be like a bit self interested and maybe a little shady, I think that Shonee feels she can work with Mimi. Stevie, on the other hand, they have history, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's where things get interesting. The soundbite from George is that he doesn't want Simon running this tribe anymore. So he's going to go against Simon by pushing Stevie to go instead of Mimi when Simon has not yet gotten his way.
Yes.
This is not
Well,
accurate.
I think though, yes, inaccurate, but I forget who said it, but Stevie, Jordy, Simon, and Michael were kind of a group, and so
Yeah.
maybe there was more to be said about that group. And maybe misconception of like how powerful that group was, and it just so happens that they ended up turning on Michael in the end. But maybe he still thought that Simon had some power, but was just letting Michael go, and so maybe he just wants to make sure that he's weakening his allies.
Yeah, and I think that that's what I agree with here for George is to loop Mimi in, get her there, take Stevie out because we do think Stevie and Simon are working together. So yeah, take out Simon's allies for sure. But the fact that George thinks Simon is running things is a delusional part on George to not see that Shonee is running things. Like I want George to be able to see what's actually happening
Mm-hmm.
in the tribe, and I'm not sure that he is.
Yeah, from that soundbite for sure. I don't know that he is, but I just have to have faith that he's going to see the light.
Simon finds the thing in the cookie jar.
Yes, and I guess you notice that on his Chiron,
Mhm.
there is that thing, that
Mhm.
the medallion of some sort,
Mhm.
that he believes is an idol. But as far as we could tell, there was no parchment, there was no clue, there's no bag, there's no nothing. And then on his Chiron, there's a big X or a slash through it. So
Simon, Simon, Simon. Thank goodness you're pretty. Uh, you have played this game before. You know, if there's no parchment and no letter that says you have found an immunity idol, here are the rules. 'Tis not an idol. I started to get so nervous when he's talking about his idol. He found the idol. Oh my God, the idol. This is game changing. It's the idol. I have
the idol is
PTSD over
it's in my
idols. And
crack. It's in my crack, Jordy.
yeah,
Feel the idol.
please feel my butt. It's right here. I've got it. I've never played an idol correctly. I'm so nervous. I'm so excited. Oh my God, idol, idol, idol. And I loved that they showed us in the Chiron because, I mean, he says idol, and I'm like, it's not going to be an idol. It's going to be some other advantage.
Or is it a complete decoy by production? How do you feel if it is that?
I mean, that's
shady.
That's weird, but
Or maybe at the bottom of the cookie jar, it's going to have like the full out
letter
rules of like whatever that is. And they'll be like, somebody here has the blah, 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 blah.
I wouldn't be surprised if when Mimi put her hand down there, she shook it so that the paper fell to the bottom. And he just saw the medallion, picked it up real quickly. Because it is odd that nobody is telling him what it is. And I wondered if, like, at Tribal or somewhere at a immunity challenge, something, Jonathan's going to be like, there is a blah, blah, blah out in play, and
I
this
don't
is
think he'll
how
say
it
that.
works.
But no, well, what I think is going to happen. So remember when they've done at times like eat a plate of spaghetti and you're by yourself, but on the plate it actually has what the clue is. I think like it's not going to be a piece of paper. I think it's going to be like written on the
In the
bottom
jar.
of the jar, and that's how everybody will know that there's some sort of advantage of some sort. But they won't know who has it, other than Jordy.
I just feel like Simon should know better. Simon should, if I know it's not an idol, he should know it's not an idol.
Well, I was just like, why didn't they show us him getting the paper of it? I'm like, I'm so confused.
Because he didn't get paper.
No, I know, but like, when I was watching it, right? I was just like, how is it? How does he know that this is an idol? What is that?
He doesn't. Nothing. He's got no information. So what he should do is be like, I have to figure out what this is. How do I figure out what this is? That's where his brain should be, and it is not. And this just started a massive anxiety for the rest of this entire episode. It was great television anxiety. But okay, so he thinks he has an idol. He goes to Jordy. Jordy feels his butt, and he's like, look, I'm going to idol out Stevie. We're going to get George out. Cool. And of course, Jordy's like, wow.
He's not really into that plan. Like, Simon is so one-track minded here. And Jordy's like, I mean, how deliciously embarrassing would it be to play that medallion?
Oh my God. Yeah. No, I thought that's what we were going into. I was terrified because he would be like, here's my idol. And Jonathan would be like, this isn't an idol. And Simon, what were you going to do, Simon? Oh my God.
Like, because he's so worried about being idled out again. And he's like, I've never correctly played an idol. And it's like, well, this isn't an idol.
Play it right, because it's not an idol. Oh my God, I'm so terrified. But before we go to Tribal, the last little conversation here is between Mimi and Stevie. And this is really when I was like, I'm done with you, Mimi.
Well, why is she so bad at the game?
Why does she not know how to be like a respectful, polite individual?
That's what I'm saying. It's a social game. Like, you might not like Stevie, you might be voting him out, you might think that he is going out tonight.
Right.
But there's absolutely no reason for, like, have you seen the show? Like, sometimes people get flipped onto the other tribe, or like they go to purgatory, or like things could happen and you might still have to work with him. Like, you were so dead set on not knocking down the shelter because you might have to work with them in the future, but you're not thinking about the fact that maybe being kind to this person as you vote him out because they might still be in the game. Like, it's very, very interesting.
It really was. It was very off-putting. I mean, I know it's awkward when it's like two people who know the vote is probably one of them, but it seemed like Stevie was trying to just be cordial, and she was like, I don't want to talk to you because you're acting like I'm going and it's not me, it's going to be you. It was just such weird vibe.
I didn't like it.
I didn't like it either.
Mean girl, but not even in like a good. It was just like, is this guy just mean and unkind to somebody that you're. I don't know. I didn't track it at all, and I was like, oh, she can go. That's where I said that there. I was like, I like Stevie more than I like her.
I was like, look, just
and Stevie's on my tribe.
Of course, because you have all the good people. I think I had Mimi, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so let's go to Tribal here. We're eating cookies. It's all about the cookies.
You don't know your note?
Yeah. Something must have typoed or like auto-corrected because I have the word sun, like S-U-N. Sun cookie jar, while Simon begging Jordy to help him. All right, so we're probably talking about this cookie jar and the paranoia of a cookie jar, but what we're seeing is Simon like begging Jordy of like, come on, man, we're gonna do it right. Come on, man, come on.
be with me, be with me. And Jordy's just like, ask the girls. I don't think so, man. I think Jordy could feel in the energy that this isn't the time to make this move. And it could be his own intuition kicking in here, because if he goes in on this plan and he is one of the votes on George and it doesn't go through, he doesn't know it's not going to go through, but his intuition does, and it doesn't go through, and now both of them have egg on their face. Jordy is in a terrible position for the fact that he didn't let the girls know in advance that they were planning on doing this, and they're coming after George, someone that they just keep on saying, no, we want to keep George. So it would have been very, very bad for Jordy, who's playing a lot better of a game this season, and I'm actually enjoying him more.
I am too. I absolutely am enjoying Jordy so much more this season. But I think it's because he's in such a good spot
and he's not being reckless.
Yeah, he's really coming out looking good out of all of this. Shonee is running things, and I feel like the biggest part of him saying no to Simon is because he doesn't want to be on the outs with Shonee. I think he understands Shawnee's power and he wants to stay in her good graces. Waging a war with her right now would not be good for his game. And so
oh, bye, you're out next.
Yeah, exactly. And she could easily rally the numbers against any of those dudes. So I think, thank goodness for Jordy just being level-headed and trying. He's definitely not going to tell Simon what to do, but he's doing his best to be like, man, this is just not the time. You have other things, PTSD, that are affecting your decision making, and this is just not clear-headed game.
I wonder though how this medallion is going to come to a head, because
girl, I'm so worried.
He's going to be mortified. It's totally like Gollum, right? The ring, the idol, get out, George. He's so blinded that he's not even able to see rationally. It's actually fascinating.
I mean, but it's terrifying to me. I do not want Simon to go out.
Might happen
with this embarrassing, doesn't play an idol right kind of thing. I just that's so traumatizing. It's just...
Well, I mean, this is what the Australian producers wanted to happen. Someone to think.
God.
Well, who would think that they add with an idol without having the paper? I don't get this part.
Yes, I don't either. But so Jordy's like, okay, let me ask the girls. Now Jordy knows what their answer is going to be, but he's like,
no.
Yeah, literally, they're like, no. And he's like, they said no. It's mind-blowing to me how much power Shonee has. And the guys have no choice but to roll with it at this point.
Well, because Jordy, I think, is more strategic than Simon is. But and that's why he knows to let's just be quiet and ride this, because they're gonna come for Shonee before they come for us. So let's have her out in front of us. So and let's take down everybody she wants to take down or whatever, and then we can take her down when it's opportune and move to the end. But we got Simon here just blinded by George and what happened in the past, that I feel like he's gonna make a bad decision.
Absolutely. I mean, George is also blinded by Simon, as we saw from the soundbite earlier. But George is better at this game than Simon is, so I think it's in his hands.
He has a real idol.
Plus that. So then we get this Stevie versus Mimi starts going. Mimi is going to pull a little bit of a Michael here, where she says a couple things that are just not cute. It's talked about of somebody definitely went into the cookie jar, and she doesn't really claim it. There's a whole thing about trust versus loyalty, and she refuses to allow Stevie to have his own saying about how they're two different things. She's like, no, they're the same thing. It's just oh God, why are you arguing about this?
If Simon, though, was to play his idol, quote in quotations, that would also just tip George off to play his, and so it would suck.
Wasted.
It would be wasted. It would suck. But a lot of information would be had. And so he would at least know that Simon is really, really coming for him hard, 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 hard.
Yeah. And then you would have at least flushed George's idol, I guess, but they would have already told Simon no. And then so George probably wouldn't have played his idol.
No, I'm just saying if he ended up playing his fake idol. Yeah, like that George would have played his real, or maybe he would have, no, he would have been tipped off. Like as soon as somebody that you don't trust plays an idol, who are you playing an idol for?
Right. What are you doing?
Get somebody out. So yeah, I'd be spooked if I was George.
So now Shonee, who, have I said this yet, is running this tribe. I was like, you know what? You guys, I think I want Mimi now. Like, I don't like what she's saying. I think we want Mimi. Okay, trickle, trickle, trickle. Boom. The vote is now Mimi, y'all. Like that, the power of this person.
Okay, have we talked about what cards we pulled for Shonee? And she must have had like the Queen of Swords in there. Dude, we said somebody was off with their heads. Who was that? Or was that something else? Am I making things up?
No. Shonee, where are you? She's the Hierophant. She's the leader.
Yes.
She is schooling all of them, literally. Yeah, like, we were like, she's going to teach them
how to play this game. And she literally said that she was like, I'm a school teacher and like I'm teaching these kids how to play this game. Yeah. Like it's usually more religious, but with these cards, but like it's all about dogma and like, yeah.
Yes, it doesn't have to be religious as long as it's that type of leader.
Yeah.
She was like, God, why do I have to teach everyone how to play Survivor? Jeez. And she literally is. And they are following her 100%. I was floored at how she changed it just like that. And I was like, George, do you see it? Do you see it? Does everyone see it? Like,
I think that they're not going to show us that he sees it, though, I think, right? If he does.
I'm just wondering if he sees it.
Well, he definitely got the memo to change the vote, so that would tip him off that she's able to make that happen in Tribal Live. I think that he will observe this. He's smart.
Right. He has to see it because I think he had stake in Stevie going over Mimi. Genuinely, I think that he really would have preferred Mimi for his game, and he had done some work to loop her in. So the fact that he had to change his vote is actually a big deal. So yeah, I have to imagine George is going to keep this in mind, which would be another fun thing to see later. But so here's our votes. 1 for Stevie and the rest are for
were you tricked when he's like, does anybody want to play an idol or idol at an advantage? And then you see like Simon like go into his bag.
I absolutely was. Because I was convinced, and I had such anxiety this entire tribal because I was like, Simon, do you not hear how many times Jordy has said no? Shonee said no. Everybody said no. It's not going to happen. Don't do it. And he just seemed like he wasn't hearing it. So I was convinced he was going to make a fool of himself.
Do you want to make history with me? Jordy's like, no, I don't.
If Jordy even knew that, like, he didn't even have confirmation that this is an idol, like Jordy would be like, are you a fool? Oh my God.
You ruined my game for this.
Right. Oh, drag me into history when you don't even have proof that this is an idol.
So bad. The history would be it would be history for sure. It would be like probably one of the worst moves in history.
Oh my God. I was so relieved when it was just a cookie and Simon did not do this. I was like, oh, thank you, Jordy. Thank you, Simon, for listening to him. This is
too, because like watching it back, he's probably like, oh my God, saved me from. I mean, we don't know how this plays out yet, but like that particular play would have been pretty embarrassing and bad.
Oh my gosh. This, after everybody leaves, this is when Simon is going to be the last person to exit, and he is going to toss George's hat into the fire, and he says, I'll be back to finish the job.
And Jonathan says, I don't think that he might regret this.
Yeah. He waits till he leaves, but he's like, he might regret this. And he might. That is accurate. But I love that he brought the hat because he was hoping he would have this big moment, right? And then he was going to burn the hat like George is out. He didn't get to get George out, but he was like, I'm still burning the hat. Oh, Simon.
I don't think that's a good idea to burn the hat. I think it's a bad omen. It's a bad omen. No. Like, I mean,
it's a Sandra move. Whatever. How dare you?
No. I'm just saying though, for his game, I think it's gonna render some bad karma for him. Like,
look, he's not good at the game. Like he's already delivering so much bad karma for himself. You have got to go to therapy before you play these games again. Survivor, Big Brother, all of them. Mm-hmm. You play once, you have issues about the person who got you out, about idols or whatever it is. Go work through your stuff before you play again. This is such a good example of like he's ruining it for himself.
Yeah, I mean, we're really watching him fall apart and he doesn't even realize it yet.
No.
He's going mad with his taste of revenge.
Oh,
but we do get Jonathan having his one cookie soundbite, so that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Oh, yeah. Got it. They were like, cookie crumble. All right. So we do see a bit of a preview that the heroes might be getting antsy to go to tribal and contemplating throwing, which is just so typical and never a good idea. I don't know if that's just one of those throw us off.
I think it's a throw us off thing because Haley's like, should we throw it? And then we see the guys, part of the meat tray, being like, if we do go to tribal, like we're all going Haley, right? But then I'm also wondering if Haley has already found that idol because we haven't seen that tribe. So if he says like go find it by the big roots, like I'm sure she's gonna find this idol. So I want to see what's gonna happen over on the Heroes tribe, but I don't want them to throw a challenge at all.
No. Please don't throw a challenge. But yeah, I do need to see a little bit more of the heroes, please. And thank you. No, Ellen, I don't know the schedule. I meant to message you before. Can you please let me know what the schedule is?
So maybe then we should do Tuesday, not Wednesday. Then if all of the episodes will be out by then.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll be on Reality Realness next, alternating, you guys. So we'll try to do that Tuesday then.
Yeah, because I don't like having all the episodes out already.
Yeah. Leah didn't like destruction of personal property.
Fair. I understand that.
I do get that. If it wasn't like an iconic thing that's already been established in Survivor lore.
Yeah.
I would definitely agree because I agree that personal property shouldn't be destroyed, but a hat in a fire is just such a thing. I don't know. Ooh, okay. Here's Chantele. Has made.
I made a little tier of both of our teams. So you have lost Jackie. Unfortunately, she was medically evacuated, so she's out of the game. Then next we lost Michael.
You lost Angeli first, but yes.
Oh, I forgot about her. Sorry, Angeli first, then Michael, and then you just lost Mimi. Is that correct?
You know what? I was so happy to lose Michael and Mimi. Like
they're both the same type of players. Like just like not really getting it.
Not observing. No good social skills. I love Mimi's profession. I think a PR manager is a badass field, but you're lacking a couple things in a team sport type environment.
Now, I have to say though, even though like you might not be so plus with Mimi or Michael, like they were our last pick. Same with Angeli. She was our last pick. And like Stevie, as much as like I think that he's interesting, he was on the chopping block and he was my second to last pick. So I have to say that we're still picking well, having all of our last picks be first boots.
That's true. That's a good point. Although you can see who my second pick was there, and she needs to go next.
I'm talking about your last picks right now. Next week I'll be like,
Yep.
But Sarah, you know, I remember I was shocked that you went with her for the fact that she was a new player. Um, it's interesting.
Oh, Rogue, you mean? That
Yeah.
I went for Rogue? Yeah.
Mhm.
I know. I got so excited about the whole animal activist thing. That's a near and dear to my heart, but she is.
Not near and dear to your heart.
No. Mm-mm. She can go. And also, you have my love, David. You have him.
Little hottie.
Hottie patati right there.
David.
My little piece of meat. I don't know enough about meat to have even followed that analogy, but whatever it was, he was delicious.
Well, I'm happy that I have your piece of meat on my tribe.
So you sent me a confessionals thing. Are we gonna
What do you
incorporate
think? It doesn't
incorporate
matter.
that? I mean, it's a fun way to do it. We just need to figure out how to
I
incorporate
mean, we can
it.
kind of just like weekly add it in.
But not like those are points. That's a lot of
No,
points.
not all of them would be points,
Yeah.
but like maybe who has the most and maybe the most from each tribe, maybe
Yeah.
would just get. I don't know your denomination of points, but like 2 points, 1 point, whatever makes
Right.
most sense.
All right. We'll figure that out and we'll get some points here together. I
Yes.
do believe that you are a little bit ahead of me because I lost Jackie. She got no points. So you do have like 1 or 2 points ahead of me anyway at this point.
Phew, I might win one of these.
Yeah. And then we'll factor in some other more social game type points.
Do you
Yay.
lose points finally for Simon finding a fake idol or whatever?
No, I mean, he technically gets a point because he found some sort of advantage. If it turns out to be fake, he loses that point. But I want to just say, because my patron Discord does a draft as well, and some of them are in the chat. So I want to say congrats to Amy, though. She is leading with 23 points. But Ellen, you're doing great with 19 points. Carolyn, you have 18 points. So does Shafika. You have 18 points. Christy has 16 and Milo has 12. That's my leaderboard over there for the first week.
Woo woo. Good job.
Yeah. All right. So we think Tuesday we'll have a recap of an episode or two. We'll let you guys know what we have.
Maybe we could even do Tuesday and Wednesday just to close it up.
Mm-hmm. We'll make sure you are subbed to both Nerdtainment and Reality Realness so that any schedule changes you become aware of and get your notifications. Yeah. I think that, right?
Yeah. If you guys watch the challenge, though, so I'm going to go live after this at 8 p.m. Eastern to do my power rankings with Drew. And then a little bit later with Drew and Chris, we're going to do a draft for All Stars 4. So I don't know if you guys watched that, but we will be going live a couple of times after this.
Well, that's very exciting. And then I will be back on Monday with David for Survivor 44 cast first impression.
That's fun. Very fun.
So, yay, let's get some Survivor 44 content going. Chantele and I will probably do some sort of astrology if we can find their birthdays, some tarot card pulls at some point. Leah would like to see Sean on the challenge. How tall is he? Has anyone looked it up?
6'7", wasn't he?
Oh my God, he's so tall.
He's really tall.
He's so tall. And he's like so strong in belts. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, 6'7". Yeah, I want him to go against Fessy.
Please.
Because Fessy's like, what, 6'4", 6'5", but like he just thinks that he's so much better than everybody because he's a big guy. And so it'd just be nice to have somebody else there that can see him eye to eye, literally.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Never going to watch the challenge. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us this week. We will see you next week. All right. Bye.